Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Make straight the road, raise the valleys, and mountains make low. Turning from sin, let the broken be whole, and ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. As we wait for you, give us the strength to walk in your truth, so we may love more like you, and ready the way for you, Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Let us see your face in our hearts. We prepare a place. Come bring this world your mercy and grace, as we ready the way for you, Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way, ready the way, ready the way of the Lord. Ready the way of the Lord.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday morning to all of you. And so welcome to another Saturday morning podcast brought to you by Catholics at Home in collaboration with Catholic Research Center here in Kuala Lumpur. If you don't already know, I'm Father Clarence Devadas, and this morning I'm going solo too. If you were with us last week, Kevin said that he was flying solo. This week, I'm going solo with a team of other people too. But as Christmas approaches, I'm sure everybody is getting a little bit more busy. And I hope that you are keeping well and getting ready. And Advent has been good to you. We are already on the third week of Advent. We are entering this weekend, Gaudete Sunday, the Sunday of great joy, as the readings would remind us. So welcome to our podcast once again. If you are watching us on Livebook, please do to share with your friends. If possible, also do a watch party so that we can share this message in this season of Advent with others too. So as I said, we are on the third week of Advent. We have been following the different themes for Advent. In the first week, we took hope, and we talked to Sister Fatima. Last week, Kevin was with us. We took the theme of joy and looked at we took the theme of how we can learn how to be at peace with one another. And today we're going to talk about joy, and hopefully that this conversation this morning will give us some sense of joy as we prepare ourselves to enter into celebrating the feast of the birth of our Jesus Christ. So wherever you are from, as we always, I hope that you have had your first cup of coffee or tea in the morning. I just finished mine. Sometimes we just need that little warm drink in the morning to kind of get our engines running. And this week our podcast is going to be slightly different. Maybe it's a first of sorts in the sense of how we are going to run this. Usually, when we are running up to our podcast, you'll see a little poster or small picture that is put on Facebook. You always see one personality that is being highlighted. But if you had seen our poster this week, we had 6 names, and we see that so we have a whole list of people with us this morning to have a conversation. And so it is, of course, it's not easy to manage so many people on a podcast. But before we get into our conversation, I just want to acknowledge and to thank someone who does all this work in the background. I just want to thank Mark. I think Mark deserves. Mark has been with us in the beginning as a co-host, but in the last couple of months you always don't see Mark very much. Mark, how are you, Mark?
I'm good, Father.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for all that you do for us in the back end. So our viewers, put some comments down there. Thanks, Mark. Kudos, Mark, for helping us, for diligently, and he works early in the morning. He disturbs me late at night, trying to get everything organized. But thanks, Mark. Thank you very much.
Lucky I got my hair, Father.
And just to irritate me this morning, he wears a Liverpool shirt again. All right, Mark. It's okay. We'll give you this for all the good work that you do. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Father.
And so this morning, as I said, we are talking a little bit different. We're talking about the joy of living together. And we are working together, Catholics at Home, together with Catholic Research Center. And also we are working with the Interfaith Ministry this morning, collaborating in the Archdiocese. To help me this morning, I would like to bring in Jason from the Inter-Religious Ministry of our Archdiocese. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Father Clarence. Good to be with you this morning.
How are you? Have you had your cup of coffee too?
Yes, indeed. Waked up especially early this morning to get ready for this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah. So this week, Jason, together with your ministry, we're doing something different. As I said, it's a first in what we have been doing for quite a number of shows since April. We've got your friends here with us to share a little bit about the joy of living together in a community. And I think that's one that really helps us or makes Malaysia stand out, isn't it? I mean, the different ethnic groups, the different religious groups that we are able to live together, we are able to engage with one another. But before we bring your friends in, many people have seen this word AMEIA. AMEIA. I'm sure people will be wondering, is that a Greek word, or is that a Hebrew word, or is it some other foreign language? Jason, you are with AMEIA. Tell us, what does AMEIA actually mean, and maybe what does AMEIA do very briefly for our viewers this morning?
Sure. Yes, I get that question or funny look each time I say we are AMIR or PMIR. Well, AMIR is an acronym for Archdiocesan Ministry of Ecumenical and Interreligious Affairs. The ministry was established as a result of the Inter-Religious Dialogue, or in short, the IRD cluster of the Archdiocese. Yeah, when we talk about when we talk among Catholics, when we say IRD, everybody knows what it is. But when we say AMIR, what is that? Yeah, so that is interconnected. So this ministry is about building bridges, strengthening our ties with communities of other faith, as well as our separated Christian brothers and sisters. So for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years back, we have been helping to establish a PMIR. PMIR stands for Parish Ministry of Ecumenical and Interreligious Affairs. A PMIR team in each parish across the Archdiocese, and help them to identify steps how to begin building bridges with the community of other faiths at their parish level. So ever since we have done that, all the PMIR teams had organized numerous activities jointly with their counterparts, like visiting places of worship, unity walk, caring for the environment, like planting trees, clearing rubbish in the neighborhood and parks, even blood donation drive at the community center. Some have organized friendly futsal games, and of course, not forgetting Malaysian, one of the favorite pastime is to invite everyone to come and have a big makan when we celebrate our festival or cultural festivals. Hari Raya, Christmas, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, so forth. And of course, forums such as today, inter-religious forums such as today. Yeah.
Yeah, great. When you say IRD, some people say, is this connected to the RTD, the Road Transport Department? Yeah, but I think it's something much needed, isn't it? I mean, inter-religious dialogue on an ordinary time. So let us maybe we are kind of collaborating today with AMEIA. What kind of prompted AMEIA to want to do something like this, especially in the season of Advent?
Right. Well, Malaysia is made up of multiracial and multi-religious people. And after 63 years as a nation, our race relations at times has been quite fragile. So I think we are all in agreement to say that we need to reclaim the joy of living together in Malaysia as Malaysians. Yeah. So that's why we wanted to have this platform, and we thank you for having us to be able to share our religious teachings on how each of us relate to people of other faith. And I think that's an important dialogue to learn from each of us. Yeah, that's right.
Very, very, very quickly before we bring in our friends this morning. So if our viewers would like to get involved in such a ministry of interreligious dialogue, whether at a parish level, or I guess more on the parish level, or if different groups would like to engage, how do they go about it? What can they do?
First of all, contact their leader for that ministry. Each of the PMIR leaders in the church are basically coordinators of the ministry. Get involved directly or indirectly. Work with the PMIR team. For example, BECs. BECs, as you know, in the church has got many BECs across the area in which they cover. So even at the BEC level, they could get involved in some sort of interfaith, whether it's dialogue in action or dialogue in sharing activities. For BEC is a great place because you are in a neighborhood of people living, not just Catholics, but they are Buddhists, they are Muslims, and so forth. And you could do joint projects there. It could be Rukun Negara related, cleaning the parks around the area, or have additional security, safety, and things like that. So you can get involved at that level. Or if you are in the youth, you could reach out via PMIR to help you do the introduction to a community of other faith, and has set up futsal, matches, friendly matches. Or you could work with the Sikh community. Sikh communities are very big on what we call the hot soup kitchens, right? Yeah. So you could help out there. So there are many things we could do by organizing things jointly with our friends in other communities. Yeah.
Amazing. I think so. To all our viewers out there, if you'd like to get involved in interreligious ministry, do get in touch with your parish reps. I'm sure they will be able to help you, to assist you. Sometimes I think when we talk about interreligious dialogue, this is what I always get. People think that it's something reserved for people who are well versed in the faith, because you must know your faith in order to. But But I believe that interreligious dialogue takes place also on the ordinary level, isn't it? I mean, it is
right.
on the ground.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
daily
Yeah.
conversations when you go out to the supermarket. Yeah, that's good relations.
That's right.
With one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as, you know, a neighbor who has young children and the parents are out, you know, working and they don't have anyone to look after. You could, you know, offer that and say, okay, why don't you bring your children over and play with my children, you know, while
Sure.
you're out. So that little things are dialogue in action, really.
Sure.
Yeah, correct.
So, Jason, this morning you have brought some friends along with you to
Yes.
this conversation. So, I will give you the honor of introducing your friends to our viewers this morning.
Most certainly, thank you. We have, first of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Vinayagamuthi Subramaniam. He's the National Youth Leader for the Malaysia Hindu Sangam. And next, we have Daojang Tan Ho Chu. He's the President for the Federation of Taoist Association Malaysia. Also the Vice President of Malaysian Consultative Council of Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Taoism. Then we have Venerable Mahinda. He's the General Advisor to the Buddhist Missionary Society of Malaysia, founder and spiritual director of Aloka Foundation Malaysia as well, and abbot of the Aloka Meditation Center in Australia. In fact, he is actually calling directly from Sydney this morning as well. Yes. Next, we have someone from the Baha'i community, Mr. Vijay Subramaniam. He is the director of the Office of External Affairs, Baha'i Community of Malaysia. And then next, we have Ustaz Dr. Syed Hussein. He's the senior lecturer, trainer, public speaker on Islamic and Interreligious Studies. He is heading the training and education in Islamic Outreach, the ABIM Center, and also the principal of Greenville Islamic International School in Bangi. And of course, not forgetting Reverend Father Xavier Andrew. He's the parish priest of the Church of the Visitation in Seremban, and also newly appointed ecclesial assistant of AMIR, my boss, in that sense. And also he's the representative of the Archdiocese in the Christian Federation of Malaysia, the CFM. Yeah, so all of us are here today.
Wow, Jason, firstly, welcome everyone. Welcome to Catholics at Home, to our podcast this morning, to our conversation this morning. Looks like you have brought a very power-packed team with you this morning to have this conversation with us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for being here with us. And I think this kind of conversations do help us, to promote harmony, to promote peace in Malaysia. Well, before we get into conversing with our friends, I mentioned to them before, I'm not going to call them panelists because we're not going to give a lecture. I'm not going to call them lecturers because I'm sure they are lecturers in their own right. But Catholics at Home has always been a platform for friendly conversation. So because we are friendly, so we're all friends. So friends get together. This is like sitting in a coffee shop, but just that, we are in different places in our respective homes and having this conversation. Well, when we talk about interreligious or interfaith engagement, I always am reminded, if we always have this nostalgia of the past, how we were before. Many of us grew up in a interfaith community or a taman. I'm not sure about the generation now. I'm not that I'm very far away from the rest, but many of us went to co-ed schools, national schools, and we all were just lived happily. It was like a little fairy tale that is a community, and as Christmas comes, I'm always reminded of this. I'm always reminded of the fact that one of the first things that I have to do on Christmas Day, you're talking about when I was much younger, is to organize to send the Christmas cookies to the neighbor's house. Also, we used to live in a neighborhood, so you had to carry these Christmas cookies and go and give all our neighbors, everybody, and somehow that practice, I don't see that happening very much, at least in urban areas. It may happen, but maybe not. But there are various reasons as to why such things perhaps don't happen naturally anymore. So this morning, our conversation is about, how do we relate with peoples of other faith? Because I'm sure every religion, every tradition talks about, being kind, being good to one another, to humanity. But we want to explore a little bit about what does your religion, in terms of your teachings, your theology, maybe your scripture, what does it say about, peoples of other religion, and how do we relate with them? Because that is something very important for all of us, because religion gives us a certain framework, a certain guidance as to how. And so each of our panelists will have about 5 minutes to just share with us the key points. Of course, we can't go into details this morning. Hopefully another time we will have the opportunity when we are able to meet face to face and organize a better forum. Then we can talk about in detail. But this morning, maybe just to kind of to whet our appetite a little bit, to tell us, what does your religion say about relating with peoples of other faiths? So I'm going to start off with Father Xavier. Father Xavier, of course, tell us a little bit, Father Xavier. What does your faith, okay, or should I say, what does our faith, because we share the same faith, about relating with peoples of other faiths?
Thank you, Father Clarence, for the beautiful introduction, and to Jason as well, and the team, Mark as well, and to all of you home viewers, together with my friends who are here. It's indeed a pleasure to be able to share with you little thoughts. And as Father said, today it is more a chat. And speaking about chat, and he spoke about the joy of this whole relationship of being with other people of other faiths. Now, if you ask me this question, I can't but go to Jesus as the point of reference. And you see, if you see the life of Jesus, despite his Jewish background, Jesus transcended the narrow boundaries of Judaism. He was reaching out to others outside of his own culture. He spoke with Romans with the background of polytheism, spoke to Syrians, the Canaanites, and the Samaritans of his time. So in other words, he was interacting with people of different culture, of different faiths, of different belief system, even of different culture. We found Jesus approaching them surprisingly from a different perspective. He approached them, and ironically, his own people, he was quite hard on them, including the Pharisees and the scribes of his time. And so what did Jesus actually do at that time? He went about healing the sick, delivering the one demonically oppressed, told people about the goodness of God. And he also praised people for their great faith in God. And he praised people, for the examples of how they have approached God. And he went to the poor and the rich. He was also very much with the sinners and the saints. He was with the Gentiles, so to speak. So having said all that, I think Jesus was with people with a compassionate heart. We can call him a compassionate guru. So that would be my reference when you ask me this question. So Jesus was going out, not sticking to his own kind. And so that would be the promptings that every Christian should be engaged with. So as for the others, he was rebuking them. He was debating. He was not actually debating with anyone on the scriptures. He didn't say this scripture is better than the other. He never asked people to change their religion. In fact, Jesus did not call himself a Christian, though he was the founder and the main person behind the whole harnessing of Christianity. Now, having said that, by way of introduction, as Father said, I must keep in mind I'm going to give a lecture. So this is kind of a prompting to me. He went out to the others, and in the context of modern day, today, we are amidst different faiths. The Muslims, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Taoists, the Sikhs, and many, many more, the others. And I would like to go back to this reference from the Bible, Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, make others above yourselves. That is what Jesus has called us to do as Christians, as Catholics. And the other quotation I would like to remind myself and my friends, a new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Taken from John's Gospel, chapter 13, verse 34. So the basis is only two in order to be able to relate with people of other faiths. All my dear friends who are watching, and also friends from other faiths who are watching, two things: love, humility. And you have love and humility, there will be respect for the other. And that would be the driving force for me to be able to relate with the others. All believe in a God, each in their respective way. We all have different vehicles, but towards the same destination. And so this is the little thought that I would like to share with you, that basically it is love, humility, and respect that Jesus has given us. And if you speak about Christianity, about Catholicism, this is the teaching even Christians has to understand. The driving force behind all this is Jesus giving the example. And so with that motivation, I'm so delighted, so happy to be able to relate with friends of other faiths. In fact, incidentally, I just stepped down as the interfaith acting chairman of the MCC-BCHST of Negeri Sembilan. And while there, the thing that I enjoyed most was the fellowship with the other brothers of the other faiths. And that brought us together much more. And so I think the basis would be more respect, love, and humility. I think that's what I would suggest and imprint upon all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the Xavier, for that very condensed. I know it's not easy to kind of condense everything of the Bible and the theology into 5 minutes, and that itself is an art. So thank you very much for keeping. And I think you highlighted three things, three qualities that are required: love, humility, and respect. And I think that kind of sums up what you say. So to our viewers out there, I'd like to ask you, put in our comment section, what qualities do you think? Of course, there are many qualities. Name one quality that you think is important in your view in order to promote interreligious good relations, harmony in our country. Father Xavier talked about love, humility, and respect. What do you think? Tell us what quality is required of every person in order to promote peace and harmony. So please do send us the comments, and we'll see. I'm sure we get a whole variety of qualities that people think, and hopefully by the end of this little conversation, each one of us can take home one thing that we want to work on, one quality to promote peace and harmony. Thank you, Father Xavier. Do stay with us. We will come back to have a conversation with you. I would like to bring on Dr. Saeed this morning. Once again, good morning, Dr. Saeed.
Very good morning. Good morning to everyone.
For being with us.
I'm Hussein here with you this morning. Thank you for joining, and thank you for inviting Father Clarence and Mr. Jensen and everybody. Right. Yeah. In the name of God, most merciful, most compassionate, may peace and blessing be upon the final prophet Muhammad. And I wish and pray for all of you to have peace and very harmonious life. And with that, my wishes, long life, good health. And I pray to God to protect us from all these type of pandemic, disaster, and as well as human disaster, which is with no kindness and compassion, which is normally destroying the peace among people in this world. With that prayer, Allahumma Ameen. Let me give you 3 points on how we can relate with people of our faith according to the concept of Islam. Basically, it's like Father Clearance says, that it's not an easy job to summarize the concept, but let me give you a very brief and very short Islamic concept of living together, dealing with people of other faith, as well as dealing especially with neighbor as one nation in this global world. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity. Islam is a way of life and believe in one God who is the creator of the entire universe and sending his messengers by messengers. Finally, the Prophet Muhammad, whose mission was summarized as the following manner. Let me read for you in Arabic and I will translate, don't worry. Innama bu'istu liyutammima makarimul akhlaq. After 63 years living in this world and showing the way of life, Muhammad bin Abdullah, may peace and blessing be upon him, Prophet Muhammad, has mentioned and summarized his coming into the following meaning and concept. I have been sent down in this world to perfect the human behavior, the human moral attitude, character excellent. So this is the basic concept of Islam. So this concept telling us how Islam encourage, emphasize, and focus on living together with people of other faiths. Number one, in Islamic belief system, that you can see the oneness of God bring into one humanity, and which is you can find in the Al-Quran and the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad. Let me only quote for you a few verses from the Quran for the first point, which means one God and one humanity in this world. That you can see chapter At-Tin, which is chapter 95 and verse number 4. It says that we all are created in the best manner. And the next chapter, chapter Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse number 40, and as well as chapter Al-An'am, which is chapter 6 and verse number 104, is telling us all of us are, all human are sons and daughters of the first man, Adam. May peace blessing upon him. And the same chapters, the last two chapters I mentioned just now, chapter 17, verse number 104, chapter 4, chapter 6, verse number 40, it's mentioned that God has given dignity to all the sons and daughters of Adam. So by using this first point, one humanity, and we are brothers and sisters, we can see how Islam encourage and emphasize on living together. Points number 2. The Al-Quran is acknowledging and accepting the belief systems and faith they are existing in this world, and encouraging the believers of Islam. Again, chapter number 6, Surah Al-An'am, ayah 108, to say that don't insult other religious faith, don't insult other belief systems and whatever they believe. It means live together. And encouraging point number 3, that the kindness, love, compassion, as well as justice. By encouraging the third point, that it should be spread to all human beings, not only people of your own faith, but the sons and daughters of Adam. And last point today, an Islamic concept of belief. If someone attracted your faith, your way of life, right? And don't do the compulsion. Don't force them to become. By these 4 points, we can see how Islamic way of life, Islamic belief system, the faith, asking the believers to live together. Finally, the Prophet Muhammad focus and force the believers of one God, Islam, the Muslims, to be kind and compassionate, starting from the neighbor. It is one of the act of worship. It is one of the compulsory act of worship in Islam to take care of your neighbor, to bond the relationship between you and your neighbor, and between you and your brothers and sisters of other faith. With that, I would like to invite every one of us to live in this world with respecting one another, being kind to one another, give the ultimate dignity to everyone, and bring the peace. With that, I pray to God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to let us understand one another and live together with peace and harmony by respecting one another, regardless of race, religions, right, and status. With that, walillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Peace be upon all of you. Thank you very much, Father Clarence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Said, for that very condensed, and exposition of what Islam talks about. I like the idea, Jason. He was talking about, part of the act of worship is to take care of your neighbor.
That's right.
We see a lot of similarities, with the twofold commandment to love God and to love your neighbor. It's connected. You cannot love God and not love your neighbor. I'm sure that's the kind of idea, and it kind of helps each other in one way, in many ways, I suppose, to live out your faith. Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Said, for that. I just want you talked about a little bit about kindness and compassion. We asked our viewers to just tell us what do they think. I just want to call out a few names. Firstly, Jonathan says understanding. He is understanding. Talk about Eric says being friendly with. I'm going to read just from the side comments. Being friendly. Angela says love, understanding, tolerance. We have Anis Hazizan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly, but he talks about open-mindedness. Yeah, and I think that's very important. Very important. Arumugam Munusami. It says love and respect for each other, and I think these are some of the things that we all need. And I think we will hear this. Diane Savary says unconditional love, peace, joy, and respect. Yeah, the traditional themes of Advent coming out again in terms of how do we deal with how do we relate with one another. And I think these are some of the virtues we all can embrace in our lives. And I guess Jason, all the religions and traditions are going to say the same qualities, isn't it? I mean, that's something that unites us, one humanity. So, we share, in your work, Jason, in your work in AMEIA, what is the driving quality that you think that helps in relating with others? Just if you ask you one quality, what would that would be needed?
Well, I think for my case, I would certainly have to have a thoroughly open-minded and open heart with the interest of wanting to learn from the other. That is, I think, the most fundamental attitude to go into a dialogue with someone else of other faith, and suppress whatever prejudice you may have while you're growing up, listening to your elders teaching you about certain things, put that aside and have that interest in actually learning from another person, another human being. And I think that's for me, that's the fundamental attitude to go.
I think, So to our viewers out there, keep sending us, what do you think, what quality is required? It's interesting to hear how people think and how people look at interreligious engagement. And hopefully these are things that we can assimilate into our lives in order to live harmoniously. Let's bring our next friend this morning. We have Daozang Tan with us from the Taoist Association. Good morning, Daozang Tan. Before we ask you to speak, I think many of our viewers may ask, what does the word Daozang mean? Okay, I know you, and we have worked with MCC BHST for many years. Maybe our viewers will wonder, is that your name? Is that a title? What does it refer to? Maybe before you start, give some clarification for us.
Good morning, Father Clarence. Good morning, Jason. As to your question, Daozang. Dao as for Taoism, Zhang is the leader. So if you're an ordained priest, they will have to carry the title Daozang. Is for ordained priest. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be able to be invited by AMIR. Now I know the meaning of AMIR. It's nothing to do with Greek, but it's an acronym. It's indeed an honor to be participating in this interreligious forum. And Taoist tends to be very misunderstood in Malaysia, not just in Malaysia, but in most parts of the world. Even until today, Taoists in Malaysia are categorized as Buddhist. In the IC is written as Buddha. And this is what the Federation of Taoists is trying to do, is to bring the awareness of the Taoists so that the right number of Taoists can be reflected in the population census. Now, during the recent investiture ceremony of the Menteri Besar of Perak, the Sultan of Perak, Tuanku, mentioned about the various races. You have Malay, Orang Asli, Chinese, Indian, and then he talked about the Muslim, the Buddhist, the Christian, the Hindu. They always left out Tao, see? So that is the problem here in Malaysia. It's not, rather they are not so well versed about Taoists and Taoism. And it's our duty, the Federation duty, is to bring this awareness. And I hope, and I thank our AMIR for giving us this opportunity, and we hope that we'll be able to participate to give the Taoist perspective on interreligious beliefs or interreligious perspective. So today's topic is a very good topic on relating to peoples of other faiths. Well, I think for the benefit of the viewers, I think I need to touch a bit on Taoism. Actually, Taoism is the only religion that originated from China, and is something like 5,000 years ago. It starts with the Yellow Emperor era, and in the old days, the emperor is bestowed by heaven, and all ceremony, the emperor will represent the people to ask for blessing and to thank heaven for all their good fortune. So it's only in about 2,600 years ago that the great sage, that is the Taisang Laojun, or Lao Tzu, as it's commonly called, wrote the Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching is the scripture of Tao and virtue, and this is the most important scripture for Taoism. And in it, it says, the great Tao has got no name. The great Tao has got no form. Ta Tao Wu Ming, Ta Tao Wu Xing. So Tao in another chapter says that it gives birth to the one gives birth to the two give birth to the three, and three give birth to all sentient beings. In all religious texts, the Creator will create man. They never differentiate on what are men or what race and things like that. It's different era, the different condition that they the time when that religion is being propagated. So I would come to a conclusion that God is one, because as you know that the Creator has got no form and has got no name as far as Taoism is concerned, and it creates all sentient beings. So God is one, called by different names. If you were to visit the Pure Life Society, this is written on the wall. God is one, called by different names. So we are all brothers. We are all brothers and sisters. So for that, being all our brothers, and we should be quite easy to accept everybody from other religion. Now, the most important thing of this interfaith, these activities or this whatever that we do, is to follow certain this golden rule, we call it, one of which is do unto others what you want others to do unto you, or you say that do not do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. Now, if you follow the old golden rule, I'm sure every one of us will really be able to live as brothers and sisters, and we will be able to get along very well. Now, all religion teaches about, we heard from all the previous friends who have spoken, religion is about love. Religion tells us about love, and we talk about trust, sincerity, we talk about charity. Now, these are all the universal values in all our religious texts. So we have to follow this religious value, these universal values. And with all the universal values, definitely we can all be a very cohesive society, very united and very harmonious. Now, how can faith help in forging unity, peace, and harmony? I think, I said just now, we must be moderate in our views. We must agree to disagree. These are some of the things that is very important for interfaith activities, for interfaith understanding and harmony. And of course, if there were to be any conflict, we need to have a conflict resolution in the best possible manner. So this trust that we build out of respect, out of understanding, the promotion of understanding of each religion is most important. Most often than not, we are ignorant of the practices of a different religion, and the most important point is never criticize or condemn or talk bad about other religion. With all that few important things that I believe that we should always practice whenever we are in interaction with other people of other faith. Now, there are so many things that we can do. I heard from what Jason has just said in the beginning, that can promote, can foster this unity and how to get a united Malaysia. Actually, Malaysians are by nature, by their very nature, they're very harmonious. By their very nature, they're very united. So what is important is the joint activities that we can all do together to promote this unity. Like Jason mentioned about festivities. Very soon you'll be celebrating Christmas. So I have to hope that you don't forget us, the other religious groups. Invite us to your Christmas celebration. let's join together, because this group, we need more people, not just from dialogue among the leaders, but all people of different faith coming together to be involved in activities, to involve in the certain celebration, festivities, so that we are really sincerely, united. We are sincerely celebrating the festivities. This really builds a united Malaysia, which is very important. Of course, charity is the cornerstone of all religion. Right? We must be charitable. We need to be helpful. We need to be caring. Like Jason had mentioned about the neighbors, offering them to look after children. Now, this is like do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Another example is, I saw it in the paper, there's one Malay family who lives next to a Chinese family who actually kept a pet dog. And when that family has to go for a holiday, the Muslim neighbor offer to feed the dog, to look after the dog. And that is the way, if we can foster this type of understanding, this type of, the golden rule of doing unto others what you want others to do unto you, I sincerely believe Malaysia is very, very good country. The citizens of Malaysia of different religious background, of different races, can indeed and will indeed live harmoniously together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dao Zhang Tan, for telling us a little bit about Taoism. Also, that your title, Dao Zhang, though I know, but I had to ask the question because a lot of people don't know what that means. I think you brought out an important point. You talk about inviting you for Christmas, but this year might be a bit difficult because of the distancing. But definitely, when things are back to some sense of normalcy, we see definitely. I'm sure Jason will organize a Christmas get together for us to share some cookies. Jason, am I putting pressure on you now?
No. It's one of our item on the list since the beginning of the year. But yeah, MCO kicked in, and oh gosh, yeah, that happens.
And I think that is one of the things about being Malaysian, isn't it? I mean, we celebrate the festivities of one another. Not just the holiday. I'm sure the holiday is something that we all enjoy, but we are able to share that with our friends, to share the joy of their own festivities. And I think that's something that is quite unique and something that is quite peculiar to our society. Thank you, Dao Zhang. We will have you back in a short while too. Yes, and so let's move on to let us bring on Vidya. Hi, Vidya.
Hello. Thank you, Father Clarence.
Hi, Vidya. Thank you for being with us. You come from the Baha'i tradition.
Yes.
And that's something that not many people know, or at least have heard about it, but perhaps don't know much about it. So we are honored to have you here with us this morning to hear a little bit about what the Baha'i tradition tells us about relating with peoples of other faiths. Over to you.
Yes, but the honor is really mine to be in the presence of you all and all the other speakers as well. Well, I think, I was thinking about this question of what does it mean for us to live together harmoniously in a society as multicultural as Malaysia. So I just thought today I'll just share some insights from the Baha'i revelation that has helped me personally to really think about what it means for us to be united in a country like Malaysia. First of all, I think one of the fundamental principles of the Baha'i faith is this principle of the oneness of humankind. This principle, I think, has a lot of implications. So I'll just share a little bit about some of these implications, and hopefully it will spark some thought and give us an idea of how we can really think about some of the challenges that are facing us. This very central principle is described in the Baha'i writings as the pivot around which all the other teachings revolve around. So it's really a very fundamental principle. It's also described as a fundamental and underlying truth, right? So it's a very important principle for Baha'is, this principle of the oneness of humankind. And we are often reminded that we should not leave it at the level of principle. It's not just a slogan, it's not just a pious hope, an ideal, a poetic vision for the future, but really we need to think about how this principle is applied on our day-to-day lives. And there are a couple of things that I think is important for us to think about when we think about this principle of the oneness of humankind. Firstly, I think to say that we are one doesn't mean that we are the same. This is another sort of confusion that sometimes we fall trapped to, right? That when we say we want to be united, we think that unity is the same as uniformity. But unity and uniformity are quite separate things. In fact, one can argue that without diversity and without differences, there's no purpose for unity. So unity kind of requires us to have diversity and differences. So then the oneness of humankind really is about all of us looking at each other as different, but really appreciating these differences, to relate to one another, to understand, to empathize, and really be concerned with populations in our society that actually need a lot of help, right? So it's really beyond just being friends with each other, but really finding it within ourselves to go out of the way to really help the most vulnerable segments of the population. I think the other aspect of what I was thinking about is this idea of how this oneness of humankind is a fundamental truth. And I think when we say fundamental truth, one way to think about it is if we look at science. So, Isaac Newton in 1687 published his paper on the theory of gravity. But when we think about how the world understood gravity, it wasn't as if before Isaac Newton, people didn't believe in gravity, right? It wasn't as if gravity didn't exist. But what Newton did was he gave us the language to describe that truth of gravity. And I think today it's so important for us when it comes to this principle of the oneness of humankind is to find that language to describe this principle and the ways in which this principle will affect our lives as individuals, as communities, and society in general. So I think once again, it's up to us at this point in time, with our the connected nature of our world, to think about different ways in which this oneness can be expressed. I think some of the other speakers also have shared a lot of good ideas of how we can do this. And for me, I think we should really think about it at the level of the family. How are we bringing people of different ages to come into conversation with us? Within our families, we have the children, we have the older people, because oneness also implies that there should be participation from all ages, from all backgrounds, all ethnic groups, all religious traditions, all genders. So these are all things that I think we need to think about. How do we bring participation from the widest cross-section of society? At the level of the community, I think the community needs to take responsibility for some of those that are suffering the most, especially as a result of the pandemic. So taking ownership and really looking for people that our communities can support and help each other, I think is also very important. So I don't know, I'm just sharing some thoughts, and I hope that there'll be more questions later, and then we can have a open conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Vidya. I think you have thrown a new value to this whole conversation. you talked about the participation of families, in interreligious engagement. And this is something that maybe you want to take it up later also, because we realize also interfaith, intercultural marriages are quite common in Malaysia. We see that we are participants of many marriages. Of course, talk about pre-MCO days, and we are able to go. I think that's a nice question to ask our viewers this morning. Those who are listening to us, tell us, how do you think that families can promote interfaith engagement? So do put your comments. We'll try and pick up a few of things and have a conversation at the end with our friends at the end of this after all have presented. Tell us, what do you think? What can families do to promote interfaith engagement? So thank you, Vidya. Stay with us. We'll bring you back in a short while. Who do we have next, Jason? Yes.
We have perhaps Venerable Mahinda. Yeah.
All the way from Sydney, Australia. So should we be saying good day? I don't have the accent, so I'm not. Yeah.
Good day.
Good day. All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Venerable, in this important conversation. What are your thoughts? What does the Buddhist tradition tell us about relating with peoples of other faith?
Oh, first of all, let me first thank AMIR, for this great initiative in this time of crisis. And AMIR, I'm quite used to this word because the Burmese tradition in Burma, every time they do transference of merit, they will recite AMIR, AMIR, AMIR. They will invite all the departed relatives to come and to rejoice. Okay, so AMIR is, I'm familiar with this, and I'm also familiar with your work, and I think a great work that you all are doing. In order to understand the Buddhist perspective of relating with other faith, and first of all, we need to understand that during the time of the Buddha, that's 2,500 years ago, there was no Buddhism, there was no what you call Christianity, there's no Islam, there was no Taoism was already there in China, and there was no other Sikhism, Baha'is, and other faiths, However, there are, I will explain that later, but first of all, and in order to understand how Buddhists relate to others, it is good to have some insight on the mission, what Buddhist mission is about. The Buddhist mission actually started with the Buddha after his enlightenment, and after training a group of 60 arahants. These are those who are free from greed, hatred, and delusion. And then the Buddha advised them, the group of 60, and he said, Charata bhikkhu charikam. This is in Pali, the closest language to which the Buddha spoke. It says, Charata bhikkhu charikam bahujanaitaya bahujana sukhaya lokana kampaya attaya hittaya sukhaya deva manusanam. He said, wander forth, go forth, O monks, and Charata bhikkhu charikam bahujanaitaya bahujana sukhaya, for the welfare and happiness of the many. Lokana kampaya, out of compassion for the world. Attaya hittaya sukhaya deva manusana, for the benefit, for the welfare, for the happiness of gods and men. This is the mission. And the Buddhist mission is about to alleviate the sufferings of humanity, the sufferings that accompanies birth, old age, sickness, and death. And that applies to all of us, irrespective of belief, irrespective of race. And so that's the mission. The Buddhist mission is actually not about converting people from one religion to another. Then, how do we relate to the Buddhist attitude to other religions? During the time of the Buddha, although Christianity was not there and Islam was not there, but there were two main streams, and they are the Samana and the Brahmana. And these two main streams, Ramana, Brahmana, Sramana, they are more of the ascetic or the wanderers. Yeah. And they actually started, this Samana tradition dates back more than 10,000 years ago. During the time of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa civilization in the Indus Valley. Yeah. And they have found, what you call archaeologists have found records, terracotta of yogic posture, and all these things date back more than 10,000 years ago. Yeah. And then there's the other tradition is the Brahmana tradition. The Brahmana tradition is the one from the Aryan civilization. The Aryan civilization that moves in from central, what you call Asia, and entering to northern India. And they push down the original, the earlier, what you call civilization, the Dravidian stock down south. That's what you have, the Tamil center down south. Then this tradition, they brought along with them the belief in what you call caste, the Vedas and the beliefs in caste system. Yeah. So during the time of the Buddha, these two main tradition, Sramana and Brahmana. The Buddha was born in the Brahmana tradition. He was born as a Kshatriya in the warrior caste. But he gave up. He gave up his kingship, he gave up his things in search for the knowledge how to overcome old age, sickness, and death. So when he gave up, then he followed the Shramana tradition. So he was wandering in the forest, practicing in the forest, in the cave for 6 years before he attained enlightenment. Yeah. So, but although I mentioned that Christianity, Islam, and others are not there, these two, the Shramana and Brahmana tradition together, they have what you call 6 different streams of philosophical thoughts. And actually, if we go into the details of these 6 streams of thinking, it actually covers all the belief system that exists in our, what you call, all the modern religions. Yeah. Now, how did the Buddha, in relation to his other, what you call, religious groups, the Shramana and the Brahmana, Buddha actually advised his disciples, his followers, and that they should provide food for the Shramanas. Shramanas are the other Shramanas, the wandering ascetics. And they should also not forget the Brahmanas. Buddha regarded them as religious or spiritual seekers. Then, and Buddha also mentioned and told them that they should not lie. His disciples, his followers should not lie to either Shramana or a Brahmana, then that would be the cause of their downfall. Yeah. And of course, I leave out these exact quotes. They are found in the Anguttara Nikaya and also in the Digha Nikaya and the Parinibbana Sutta. And then what happened was Emperor Ashoka, who lived about 250 years after the Buddha, and he was inspired by the teachings of the Buddha. And what he did was, during his lifetime, he caused his messages were carved in rocks and on pillars, yeah, and that is over a large area that extends up through his whole empire, the Mauryan Empire. And there are some 14 rock edicts and 7 major pillars, stone pillars, and then there are some minor pillars. And on this one rock edict, which is interesting, is this, and rock edict number 12. And this is what he read. According to the translation in the English, it says, whoever practices his own religion due to excessive devotion and condemns others with the thought, let me glorify my own religion, then he only harms his own religion. Therefore, contact between religions is good. And this is in the Brahmi. The Brahmi says, ta samayo eva sadhu. Therefore, concord is commendable. One should listen to and respect the doctrine professed by others. And then this is how to inscribe. It says, beloved of the gods, King Piyadasi. That is how he addressed himself, Emperor Ashoka. He says, he desires that all should be well learned in the good doctrines of other religions. So that is the Buddhist attitude towards
it's a very nice quote that you gave right at the end. It's a nice quote. If you respect your religion and disrespect someone else's religion, you actually do harm to your own religion.
Yes.
In a nutshell. Yeah, that's. I mean, for me, that's it's a nice quote. Hopefully, I can get that quote from you later on. Be able to use it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Venerable, for sharing. And we'll have you back in a short while to be able to have some. So we were looking at some of the things that we'll bring up later, Jason. For families, I just want to maybe highlight a few things. Like Matthew says, families should inculcate good values like tolerance, humbleness, humility, empathy for peoples of other faiths as examples. Yeah, I think it begins in the family in many ways. To be able to share. Diane says, be open to discuss if topics of other faiths are raised by your children. Maybe that's where we can throw out some prejudices that we may have sometimes. I think some very nice comments. People are good suggestions too. Family openness, acceptance, tolerance with the family members, the root and foundation for all to grow and share our love to the world effectively. Yeah. So I think we can compile all this into good suggestions into a little booklet. Let's bring last but not least, okay? We believe in the Bible, it says the first will be the last will be the first. And so this morning we have Mr. Vinayagamurthy from the Malaysia Hindu Sangam to share with us the Hindu perspectives about relating with peoples of other faith. Welcome, Mr. Vinayagamurthy.
Vanakkam, namaskaram, and good day to all. It's a great honor to join all of you today for a very pleasant forum on interfaith. In terms of Hinduism, okay, in terms of Hinduism, in accepting and relating with people from other faiths, I can break this to a lot of aspects, but I'm trying to make this as short as I could and simple. The first thing, most of y'all would have, if you have a Tamil speaking relation, and you would have seen them telling this particular phrase, saying Tennaduடைய சிவனே போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி, which means my humble salutation to the God who is named Shiva in my territory, which is southern part of India. And the reply for the salutation comes in as எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி, which means my salutation also to God in the name of in a different name from other places, okay, which means எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் means with other countries. So here itself, Hinduism opens its respect to people with other faiths and the accepting the God, because there's another Vedic scripture which says ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti, which means the truth is one. Sages describe it variously, or in taking it in a different context, there can be multiple valid viewpoints about the supreme authority. So Hinduism promotes and encourages people to respect those who are following the different point of view. That is mainly Hinduism's one of the core scripture. Veda says this ekam sat, the truth is one, or the supreme authority is one. So the ways can be a lot, people who are following the ways can be more, but the ultimate rule is to respect all those who are following the truth. Also, the Hinduism stresses more on love. You would have heard this word saying Anbe Sivam. Anbe Sivam literally means love is God. Anbe means love. Anbe Sivam, love is God. And based on this, the Hinduism promotes those who love the well-being of other living creatures in this world. Could be those with 1 sense or 2 sense, the crawling insects or the plants, a lot of things. It stress on loving the creature created by the God. That is mostly Hinduism's stress. So when it comes to relating with people with other faiths, the love should come first. So accepting them as what they are is mostly encouraged in Hinduism. I wish to quote Swami Vivekananda, one of our famous sages, known to the people with other faith as well, who quoted in his Chicago speech, first ever Chicago speech, 1883, which says, he quoted the scripture from Bhagavad Gita, whosoever comes to me through whatsoever form, I reach him. All men are struggling through path which in the end lead to me. This is quoted, this is said by Lord Krishna himself in the famous Hindu scripture, Bhagavad Gita. Also, Swami Vivekananda uses this word tolerance, which now most of us are very reluctant to use this, because tolerating means tolerating someone that you don't like. But it's the tolerance has two ways. In Hinduism, we use the word tolerance a lot. So goes to Swami Vivekananda, who says tolerance has also the positive and divine element, which means accepting and respecting willfully the differences that exist in the world created by God. So Hinduism as a overall speaks about love, promoting tolerance in a positive and divine manner, and end of the day, to reach the supreme authority, using all other religious or all other ways that leads to the truth. So this is the Hindus aspect of this one. There are some evidence that can see that the Hinduism has adopted inter-religious practices or promoted inter-religious aspects, such as what we can say is there's a temple in the southern part of India, in Tiruchi, Tamil Nadu, where it has the shrine of Indian Muslim for being devoted in love and affection towards humanity in a Hindu temple itself. It's a very famous Hindu temple by the name of Sri Rangam in Tamil Nadu. It's one of the 108 Divya Desam of the Sri Vaishnavite, a stream within the Hinduism. And there in the temple we have the shrine of Tulka Nachiyar, who is an Indian Muslim who devoted her life towards the serving the creatures created by God, spreading love. And her shrine is there till today. If you happen to visit Tamil Nadu, please go and see the living evidence of our this shrine, which promotes inter-religious and accepting people with other faiths. So in conclusion, Hinduism promotes love, and we speak about tolerance in a positive and divine way, and accept people. As end of the day, all of us are leading to the same direction with a different path. We may take a Sungai Bisi highway, we may take a Plaza highway, or we may take a Kasas highway. But at the end of the day, all of us are going to reach to Putrajaya, means that is our end destination. So that is what Hinduism says. Respect all those who are leading to the same position, because we are brought to just reach to the God. Thank you, Father.
Oh, thank you very much, Murthy, for your explanation. You know, I see that you are very well versed in the road systems in Malaysia. You know which roads lead to Putrajaya.
It's just an example.
But a good example, a very practical, down example. You know, I only know one road. I only take the Max Highway. That's the only way I know to Putrajaya. Now from what you shared. So no, anyway, I mean it's a nice analogy. I think sometimes when we speak about abstract concepts, it is always nice to give analogy stories that people can relate with, people can identify, and I like the fact that that you kind of use the different roads that. But also, of course, you know, sometimes along those roads we have toll gates, so we have some hurdles,
Exactly.
we have some challenges, but we still can cross them together. We can still cross them together. So to all our viewers out there, if you have some questions that you would like to post, please do post them in our chat box. We have a little bit of time. We can take up some questions. I'm going to bring in all our other speakers too into this conversation, into this. Let me just slowly bring them in. Yeah. Thank you very much for patiently waiting with us in this conversation. We have some interesting conversations. Perhaps address, I mean, it's not necessary for everyone to address every question. Maybe I can just bring out one question first. Here the question is from Jennifer Wu. And she talks about how to unite and reach out to those who are closed up in their own community and believe so strongly. Maybe, I mean, let me just try and rephrase the question a little bit. If I guess that's what Jennifer is trying to say, especially when we try to be non-inclusive of others, we are very exclusive. But I think, you know, in some of the virtues or some of the good habits that people have been saying is that open-mindedness. Perhaps Dr. Saeed, you would like to, you know, say something about how do we promote inclusiveness in our religious communities and not to be exclusive.
Yeah, thank you very much, Father, and everybody here. Once again, I was a little bit lecturing earlier for 5 minutes, you know, times that have been given. Let us be relaxed for a few, a bit, and then try to get few points on the question asked. How can religious leaders foster an inclusive rather than exclusive, mentality among the people of the other faith? Okay, I have a few points to raise here, and then point out. Number one, this is experience and based on the Islamic concept too. Number one, I hope it won't harm anyone, but we need to be open, right? Because we are doing our best to bring, a great place for people to live, peaceful and harmonious place to live, people live. Number one is that each and every religious leaders, must learn their religion very well. So it maybe seems to be something, it's not highway like Nayamutu says, but it can be this first point can be a kambang rock, difficult rock, yeah. So each and every religious leaders, they have to learn their religion well, and they have to promote the religious values. Today I used to say, I'm as educationist, education become the certificates, right? Only looking for the certificates, mostly, and the values of education is less. So when I'm talking about the education, I talk about this values of education is very important. Which must promote, as same the religion, the religious values, living together, developing the characteristic, especially, right? We need to focus on that. So we need to learn our religion, right? The basic religion, and we need to promote the religious values, right? Based on what we say that the moral behavior, right? Developing, I used to say the character excellence, right? Internal discipline, right, of the religion, how people can be people. I used to tell my brothers and sisters in the same faith and the brothers and sisters of the other faith, before you become a Muslim, before you say that I'm a Muslim, you have to be a human first, right? And once you are human, you show that you are great citizens of a country, great citizen of Malaysia, right? Then you are Muslim, then you are a Christian, then you are a Hindu. So we have to base and focus, emphasize on the first point, which is the values that the religion, enforce, to develop character of human. Number two, very fast, is that we need to learn the other religion in their culture, in their practices, right? Basic of that. Then we have to, number three, I just complete, that we should not be selfish in anything, right? Going to live for a while and going to go back, right? Everybody is living. I don't think so now. People are no more than 90 years and 95 years. Very less, the life are coming short. So we need to think that we should not focus on the selfishness for any reasons, right? We need to promote the what we call that, the great attitude and what they call that, the moral behaviors, in our religion. Then we can help people to love others and respect others. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
These are
Dr.
the
Syed.
three.
Thank you. I was saying earlier that people of a certain generation are quite used to the idea of living with people of other faiths, isn't it? I mean, we live together in different communities, work together, but we cannot deny the fact that more and more today, younger people come within the context of a more polarized context of a situation, different. There's a question here. Maybe I just want to kind of turn it a little bit from Greg. Okay, hi Greg. Greg is in Perth. I know Greg. He asked, is there a guide or are there principles that provide the framework for dialogue? But I just want to turn it a little bit. For young people, what can we provide? What kind of framework can we provide for young people to help them? Because it's not something natural. It's something that we have to engage them. Looking at the screen, I think the two youngest people here probably would be Vidya and Murthy. Maybe Vidya, you want to say a few words? How can we promote help young people to be involved in interreligious? And maybe Murthy, a few words too. I would think you look, the two of you look the youngest. No offense to anybody else that's here.
The others look young in heart.
Young in heart, yes. How do you promote young people, Vidya? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has been one of the questions that is so important, especially when we think about how the younger generation forms such a large part of society, right? And they are so important for the building of the better future. I think one thing is to center this idea of building unity around service to others, and I think that's a part of the teachings of the Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah, the divine educator that brought the teachings of the Baha'i faith, has oftentimes looked to the young people to be like this example of service to others. I think it's so important, and I think many of us have also shared about that, how through acts of service together with others, we build this bonds of fellowship, of joy, but at the same time also you are able to reach out to new people and strengthen those relationships as well. And I think, at least from the experience of the Baha'i community, it's so important for us to join hand in hand in serving others.
The other young person that's here?
Okay, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, youths now, they need a catch. They need something interesting. Whatever they go for, even myself, if there is something interesting, there is a catch in what we are doing, it's very fast to attract them. So when it comes to interreligious activities, interfaith activities like this, we can maybe organize more joint ventures activities like treasure hunt, quizzes, which bring along people from other faiths in a group. Let's say team A in the quiz must comprise people with 3 different religions, and they work together and answering questions from different religion about different religion, or a treasure hunt which gives a hint about hint which involves a different religion and leads to the particular place. This can actually promote and attract more youths to join and in this kind of interfaith dialogues or interfaith approaches, and bring more closeness among people with other faith. So what I would like to summarize is just that they need to have a catch and something interesting organized to bring more youths into this kind of activities.
So both of you seem to be saying, we need to organize activities. Young people are attracted to activities.
Yeah, basically that's what youth looks for, because less youths will ask for this kind of forum. They want into the field kind of activities.
Sure. We have another question here, interesting question from Leong Yu Ming. Perhaps I would address this question to Dao Zhang Tan, and then perhaps Father Xavier also. In your opinion, what is the main hindrance, if you could name one, to peaceful coexistence? We know some of the things that prevent us. Sometimes we say that we don't want to mention the elephant in the room, but sometimes that's the reality that we are having to deal with. In your opinion, here, what is the main hindrance, and how can we, not just to identify the problem, but how can ordinary people overcome that hindrance? Dao Zhang Tan first.
Yeah, thank you. The main hindrance is all based on different communities. As for Taoists, I think you should know that the Taoists, they are more concerned about livelihood. And if they're students, they are more concerned about their study. Generally, that is what the Taoist community, well, the way they carry out their life, you know. So because of that, they tend to be very focused in their business or in their work, and when they are studying, they're very, very focused in their study, because the priority is to pass the exam, to go to university, and to be a professional and things like that. So generally, that is the thing that the Taoist community are doing. And the other hindrance is that the leaders or the committee of most Taoist temple, they are the elderly. They are, people who have more free time, or maybe they are already retired. And the greatest hindrance, I would say, is because of language barrier. Very seldom you see these leaders in the temples. They are able to be bilingual, or in English or in Bahasa. Most of the time they be using Mandarin or their dialects. That's the main hindrance. By and large, I would say that how the community can come together, you'd be surprised, I would say, is to be yourself. For Taoists, I think I would say that put your religious belief aside. Be yourself. A good example: when I was small, I was born in a Malay kampung. There are only 6 Chinese family there, and as a child, we are making ends meet, through quite a hard time, and we don't have a television. So what we do is we always go to our Malay neighbors who have television and fridges and all that. So there's no problem at all. We can just live together, like you say, the joy of living, and we are so carefree, right? So important thing, I would say, even though we are talking about religion, is to put aside the religious practice and belief of your own. It's between you and God. When you're in interaction with other people, be a person, be natural. I think that is something I believe can help to foster a harmonious society.
Father Xavier, you want to say a few words?
Yes.
What are the challenges and how can we overcome them?
Thank you, Father. I think among other things that others have shared, one would be the rigidity in your mind of your own religion, that I am on the superior platform, to be able to let go, like they say, let go and let fall. No, so I think that should be a need for us to engage with others. I would just give an example of my own experience, where I remember when I was out there teaching, people know that I am a Christian, but when I engage with them, we never talk about all this religious stuff so much. It's more humane, social, our laughing together, chatting together, and rigidity of the mind. There need to be flexibility in our relationship with people. So if I'm caught up in my own mindset, that would be one difficulty, that would not be able to come together for a harmonious, joyous living that we are speaking about. Be able to laugh and be able to smile at each other. Simple life experiences, no need to be so theological in our approach towards each other. The other would be, today we have this problem, this phone, latest gadgets, that has taken a lot of our time, and so people have become more self-centered, more time is taken for that. So need to be able to discipline our mind and ourselves in order to avoid this as much as possible sometimes, so that we are able to sit and chat, sometimes a cup of coffee with each other is just fine. I remember recently when pastor from another church came to invite me for a cup of coffee, and we went down the street. Just things like that. This will likewise neighborhood, like now Christmas is coming or any other festivals. In the neighborhood, people are not able to know the other person who is the next door neighbor, and be able to recognize the other person, to smile. Sometimes I go visiting homes and I ask, who is your neighbor? Not too sure. People say, I'm not too sure. Some do say this. Oh, they are wonderful people. Let me be wonderful in order for me to recognize the wonder in the other, the wonderfulness in the other person. No? So I reckon this to be, it's simple. Sometimes it has to begin with the homes, families. Sometimes parents have to inculcate in them. Just now, our two brothers, Videkaran and Murthy, were sharing about young people getting engaged in sports or events like that. Apart from that, if parents can conscientize them, sometimes parents can be a stumbling block. Forgive me, parents, if you're watching. Sometimes we can be the stumbling block, saying to our children, "This is the way it is. Don't mix with the others." And so living consciously is important, and this is what I see among other things that you have shared. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father Xavier. We are running out of time, and just want to take another question. Maybe this is to Venerable Mahinda. I will say, a question from Ahmad Ski. Just want to ask, as we know, there are a lot of religions in the world, but how do we foster peace? How can we bring about peace in the world? I think this is a question that many of us pray for, many of us want. Even in our church, in the Catholic Church, on the 1st of January is a World Day of Prayer for Peace. In your view, Venerable, if there's one thing that we all can do together, how do we foster peace?
I think hearing all our friends have said, and the common value is love, and love is peace. And so in Buddhism, we have a practice called metta, or loving kindness. And this is shared with the Hindus and others as Maitreya, Metta. And I think from the Christian side, the closest from Christian and Islam is agape, and it is the wish for all beings to be well, to be happy. So this is the basis of altruism. Altruism is about having the sincere, the genuine wish for the well-being of others. And so if we can start with ourselves, and then we promote it to all others around us, then that is what this love is. This is what I feel that the whole world needs love, more love than anything else. And in fact, what we are doing now is the Young Buddhist Association of Malaysia. At this point of time, they started from November until end of December. They will be doing this 1 million minutes of metta, loving kindness. So they are engaging themselves, engaging others to cultivate loving kindness in their hearts and spreading out to all around them. And especially in this time of crisis. And it is this love that we have for ourselves and for others that can help us to reach out to others. And as what you all mentioned about, and it's so important to have the kind of communal support in this time of crisis. When we talk about the young people, how to reach out to young people, I think immediately we see the impact, the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic will be it affects employment. And this is where if all the religious groups can get together and promote something, a kind of social enterprise. And what comes to my mind is we have to plant seeds, and not only the seed of love in our hearts, but real seeds, vegetable seeds and flower plants that then we had this idea because two speakers spoke about Putrajaya, and the Buddhist Mission Society has actually built this center in Putrajaya. And in Putrajaya, we have the government has allocated space, taman, what you call ibadat, that is for Buddhism, Christianity. I think there are 2 plots for the Catholics and the Christians. And then there's also Hinduism and there is Taoism, and so there are plots there. So far, the Buddhists, we have just finished the building, and the Hindu temple is going on. And I think this would be a good place to start. And if we all can get together and then to grow some kind of vegetables, flowers, or whatever it is, and we call it Kebun Muhibah. And then from that idea, from the administrative capital of Malaysia, and spread out to all the other states, where getting all the young ones, not only young, elderly as well, to come in, and then that can eventually come out to what you call social enterprise, which I think can help the country and also the youth to find some employment. Yeah. So this is all the thing coming from love, from compassion, and I think it's a great thing that what you call AMIA and what you are doing. The only thing is how we follow up. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. I think that's a nice, fitting conclusion to our conversation this morning. The key word is love. That ties us all together. Whatever tradition we come from, religious backing, whether we are from urban or semi-urban areas, I think it's love that ties us all together. And I'm reminded, even in our own in the Bible, in the epistle of John, 1 John 4:20, very clearly says that if you claim that you love God and you don't love your neighbor, it says the strong words. He says you are a liar. So you cannot say you love God and don't love your neighbor. And I think that is the clearest sign that I think, and I think even Dr. Said mentioned earlier, part of the act of worship is to love your neighbor. And I think Dao Zhang talked about the golden rule, which we all share. It all comes out in different ways in our scriptures. The golden rule is applicable to all. What you would like to be done to you, you do to others. Simple principles in life. And I hope you have had an interesting conversation. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our friends who have taken this Saturday morning. I know it's very, people treasure Saturday morning to take some time off from other activities. Thank you for taking time off. Jason, you want to say a few words to our friends?
Sorry, Mike.
Jason, you have to unmute. Yeah.
So on behalf of AMIR, I'd like to thank all of you for accepting this invitation for this dialogue. I've learned tremendously a lot, even though I've been in this role for a few years. Your sharing has been most invaluable and inspiring, and I truly think that we can be the most common tag phrase that is. Malaysia is truly Asia, and we can be an example for the world to follow, to live in peace and harmony. So I really thank you for your sharing.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much to Mr. Vinayaka Murthy, Father Xavier, Videkaran, Venerable Mahinda, Dr. Said, Dao Zhang Tan. Thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully, this will inspire others. The whole initiative of Catholics at Home is to inspire others, and we are one platform that to help others, so that people on the ground now, it's possible. Even though we can't meet face to face, we can't go for teh tarik, we can't go coffee shop, we can do this. We can just call up a few people in our taman and say, let's have a Zoom conversation, and that's our hope. Our hope, social distancing does not have to separate us. We can't meet face to face, but we have another platform, and I think this one is.
Father Clarence, the social distancing is make us close.
Yes, we have more opportunities now. We have more opportunities too.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very. Sorry, Venerable Mahinda, you want to say something? I think your hands.
The COVID-19, the virus, actually is teaching us something. It's teaching us that they can infect people of different walks of life, all religions, all race, without any. If we can learn this lesson from them, and we can inject love to all, then there will be more peace and harmony to all. So I wish all our listeners, our Catholic brothers and sisters, to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
To all of you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a great pleasure and very enlightening. Thank you, and early Christmas and Happy New Year to all our fellow Christians.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
We wish you all the same, because we are Malaysians. We celebrate everything, so we all celebrate Christmas together. So thank you very much to our viewers out there. Thank you for joining us. I know today has been a longer session. To be able to have this conversation, sometimes it's not possible to contain ourselves within that hour, but it has been an interesting conversation, and we hope that Catholics at home will be able to continue to partner with other organizations in the church. We thank AMEIA for giving us this opportunity to have this virtual conversation forum, friendly get-together, whatever you call it. It's been a great Saturday morning. Just to tell you a little bit of what's coming up soon. Don't forget, as usual, next Saturday morning, we are hoping to speak to someone who has been in the newspaper, not just locally but internationally. We are hoping to person. I'm not going to give it away this morning, but we are trying to organize that. So do join us next Saturday morning, say 10:30 a.m. for an interesting conversation. I'm sure you'll be interested to meet this person, because many of us have been reading about this person online, and he has been in the world news also. So we hope to get him. And also on next Saturday at 8:30 p.m. we have a special Christmas show lined up. Okay, so it's a kind of like closing the year, because after that Catholics at home will also take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll resume in the new year. We have a show lined up for Christmas a Christmas special next Saturday on the 19th at 8:30 p.m. So do put this down in your diary. Next Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. and also at the evening at 8:30 p.m. for our Christmas special, where we are going to premiere our virtual choir. It is to be the Malaysia's largest Catholic virtual choir. So do look out for that. Quite a lot of activities planned also for the Christmas special. Do join us that evening. And don't forget to share, to like on your Facebook page, or on or to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to share this good news, to spread it with others. So until we meet again next week, thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Until then, keep well, stay safe, and God bless.
Religion is to put aside religious practice.
Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury of heart and Lord, and where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. Oh, Master, grant loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It isn't pardoning that we are parted, and giving to all men that we receive, and in dying that we're born to eternal life. Oh, Master, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me